everybody. Today we're having a discussion with Paulina. Oh my goodness, can you say your last name, love? I'm really bad with this.
It's Turczynska.
Turczynska. Okay, good. Like I said to you, I'm not really good with that stuff. In any event, Paulina has written a book called Letters from a Concussed Girl, personal experience that she had, and through the experience of having the concussion and the many things that happened following that, she came to realize that there really wasn't much information out there in terms of having those types of concussions, I guess, to help others.
No, there wasn't. And oftentimes the information out there is very generalized. And as we know with concussions, they kind of fall on a spectrum. So it's really rare when you get access to those first-hand accounts, which in my case, I felt like I related to the most.
Beautiful. Just talk about it a little bit. So where did it start? Okay, so let's go back to the beginning. Maybe it's just a condensed version of what had happened. You were playing volleyball at a tournament or something, and
yeah, so it was actually a practice, and the drill wasn't being run properly, and there were two balls on the court at the same time. And so I was still watching the other ball on my left, and one of the girls served onto the court. And I was definitely tired, like with studying as well. So I just didn't have the fact that there were two balls, but also I couldn't react properly. And I didn't think to put my hands up to cover my face. And so I went down for a bump, and it hit me right in the eye. And so then I stumbled back a bit, but I kind of told myself, next ball, next point, and I'm going to try to get the next one, because the drill was all about testing our reaction time to serves, and making sure we could pass up properly and efficiently.
Okay.
And so there was another ball coming at me, and I tried to get that one, and I kind of adjusted to get that, also trying to bump it. And then I realized that my hands were actually wide apart, and I thought that they were together, so the signal didn't travel properly from my brain to my arms.
Oh my.
Yeah, so then I knew that something was wrong, and then it was almost like someone just shut off the lights, but my eyes were open the whole time.
Oh, Paulina, that's horrible.
Yeah, so yeah, I knew something was wrong, and yeah.
So after that, So from there, so obviously you knew something was wrong because your functionality, as a whole was impaired. So going forward, so what did you do from there? How did that transpire?
So then I told my coach what happened, and they weren't aware that I had gotten hit. So then I was like really, really nauseous. They took me to the bathroom. I was throwing up. It wasn't very pleasant. And then someone called my dad, and he came, picked me up, and then we went home, and I was so dizzy, so heavy. It was really, really bad, and we decided it's better to kind of go to emergency to the hospital at Georgetown, just to make sure everything's okay, for them to check me out, officially diagnose it as a concussion.
Of course.
And so then, unfortunately, when we were there, the doctor that saw me, she diagnosed it as a concussion, which we knew she would, but she kind of gave us the impression that the best thing to do would be to just go home and kind of sleep it off, and I should be back at school in the next few days, and just until the symptoms completely resolve, go into a dark room, lay down, and just don't do anything, which we now know that's not what you're supposed to do after a concussion.
Okay.
You're supposed to yes, let your brain like rest and recuperate, but after I don't remember if it's 24 or 48
of
hours,
course.
the specifics, but soon after you're supposed to start reintroducing aspects of your daily routine, whether that's like an appropriate amount of light, or just walking around a little bit and doing things that you're used to, because your brain can get used to things very quickly. So
yeah, understandable. So you gotta get it functioning again.
Yes.
Starting to work itself again.
Yes.
Wow, that doesn't sound like a lot of fun. Through the course of the recovery process.
Yeah.
Through that time, what were some of the things that you endured? Because I know it got pretty bad for a while there, didn't it?
Yeah, so it was the first 2 months I couldn't really walk by myself. The most I could make it was maybe to the bathroom, like the next room over. Like I couldn't, I needed help. Like my parents had to hold me up and help me walk and all of that. I was just like in my room for like almost 2 months. And just trying to get it all to calm down, because any amount of light, even if somebody was like talking to me, it almost felt so amplified and so loud that it was difficult to concentrate.
Oh, wow.
So it was just like such an information and sensory overload. And I had trouble reading. I still have trouble reading to this day. Like when I try, the words will almost kind of jumble. And it was, we started working with an occupational therapist after a while to try to, again, like get me back to where I was. And it was like, our goals were very minimal. It was, we're going to try to walk for 5 minutes this week. And then if I can tolerate that, then next week we'll try to do 10 minutes. Like that was very debilitating for me. And I couldn't go back to school. We were kind of putting it off, okay, maybe next month, maybe the month after that, but I couldn't go back, so I ended up missing an entire year of school because of it.
Oh goodness, and that's a real throwback, isn't it? When you've got plans and goals, I'm sure. Yeah, it's interesting because people know concussions are, you got to be careful. I had a stepdaughter who played hockey and played very much like a boy. And suffered from a handful of concussions, but thank goodness nothing to this degree. But it's awesome that you've done this so that people realize when you get a concussion and you've been told you have a concussion, pay attention. Yeah. Even if you don't have those symptoms, there could be something happening, right? Which is amazing that that's one of the reasons I think you've put it out there, right? Is so that people realize that even something that may seem simple may not be so simple. Yeah. You just get hit in that certain spot that certain way.
Yeah, and it really depends. Like I said, there's that spectrum, which oftentimes it's difficult for people to wrap their heads around that it's not going to be the same from person to person. No. Right? So it's really difficult, especially like in schools. Like that's, it's difficult to accommodate that protocol the same way to every student, which is what makes the return to school so challenging.
Yeah, understandable. So at what point did you decide to write your book?
So I started writing it, and that's actually a part in the book. It happens to one of the characters after she gets her concussion. And I went to this, it was actually through that occupational therapy clinic that I was working with. Okay. And they hosted this concussion seminar, which I initially thought was a waste of time because I'd lived through the whole experience. But at the end, they had this Q&A session, but they also had a point where they asked people to share their experiences with concussions, the people that were in attendance at the seminar. And then that's when that was the first time where I felt like, wow, somebody really got what I was going through. And as much as I had such a great support system at home, I was very, very lucky to have that. Beautiful. It still felt like, the most my parents had to kind of go off of, and they saw obviously that I was really struggling physically as well, but the most they had to go off of at the end of the day was my words, how I said I was feeling, because it wasn't like an x-ray or a broken bone where an x-ray just shows you that that's the break, that's the issue. This is a lot more ambiguous.
The day by day, and how are things going?
Yeah, so
that's a long road.
To hear someone kind of talk about their experience with everything, it made me feel like validated in a sense, but also like, wow, somebody gets me. And that was a really great feeling after so many months of just hardship. Oh, I bet. Pain. Yeah.
Because I myself, I know of people that have had concussions, and I know some people that have had a little bit of trauma from it, but this is completely different to anything I've ever heard of. So it's amazing because yes, it will show people, that don't take it for granted. Some people realize how serious concussions are, but young kids, teenagers that play sports and other things, my stepdaughter was one of them, was like, I'm fine. You're ready to go right back out there and do it, even though it's like, no, you need to just chill for a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And so it's good so that people understand concussions are serious. It took Paulina a year out of her life and more. I'm sure even going forward, as you said, you're still having issues.
Yes, I am.
So how long did it take you to write your book?
About a year, almost exactly. Yeah. I got my concussion in November 2021.
21, yeah.
And then I started writing the book in January, despite all of the issues I was having with reading and dizziness.
Good for you.
Yeah, and it was always a dream of mine to write a book. So, and the fact that it was around that time I was working with the occupational therapist, those goals were so debilitating in a sense that this kind of felt like something the old me would do, and it was always my dream to write a book. So then I started working on it day by day, just a little bit, tried to get through half a chapter a little bit once a week, and then I increased it to one chapter, and then it just kind of, the story kind of
fell into place.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And it probably helped to continue using your brain in that manner.
Yes.
To motivate it, I guess, to kind of push through some of it. I'm sure it did. Good for you. Good for you. So are you playing volleyball anymore?
No.
Dare I ask?
I don't think I'll play competitively again. I won't play competitively again.
Do you miss it?
I really do. But I found other things that kind of bring me joy and fulfillment in life.
And is there, what are those things? Do you mind sharing a few of those?
No, not at all. Well, everything that I'm doing with the book and all the people that I get to connect with and talk to, and I see how I'm impacting people, and that almost, I like to believe that things happen for a reason, and as unfortunate as this was.
I believe there are no coincidences.
Yeah.
I'm on your page for that one.
Yeah. So just that, and then also I started slowly. I was always an athlete, so I started going to the gym at the beginning of this year, and that's been also like a very slow road to kind of getting back to where I was.
Okay, beautiful.
But that was very nice, because it kind of, again, it felt like I was getting back to normal, and then I don't know, hopefully I'll start doing something else maybe in
I'm sure you
winter.
will.
Yeah.
I have like a person to sit around and wait. I have no doubt you will definitely move forward. Are you looking at doing any other books at any time? Is this maybe something you're going to start doing?
I'm not sure. I don't want to say no, but I think for right now, I really like what I get to do with this one, and I like that there's almost like a purpose and there's meaning behind it, and it allows me, like I said, to connect with so many people in a different way. And so I really just want to focus on this and getting my message out there and getting my story out there, and hope that it'll change things for people. So
that's amazing. Have you ever connected in with people in the healthcare that actually deal with people with concussions at any point? Is there ever maybe sometime maybe you can connect with some of these services and people that have concussions and just kind of be there to express your understanding of what it is due to what you've been through?
Yeah, hopefully. I did some volunteer work at the Georgetown Hospital, and although I wasn't promoting my book in any way, but that just even that kind of aspect of my life, that was something that I started to find a lot of fulfillment in, because I know what it's like to be on the other side, and a lot of people I find sometimes don't. And so it's it just allows you to connect with people in a different way and help them that way. And
well, it's feel good.
Yeah.
I always say I've done a lot of different things over the years of my life as well, where we reach out to community, we help people less fortunate, etc., and so on. And I always say sometimes, I said people are like, well, you're doing a good job. And it's like, yeah, I'm a little selfish, because what I feel like when I do this is absolutely amazing. I don't want anything in return. I just the feeling I get.
Yeah.
It's heartwarming.
It is. And also the fact for me was that I was that sick person for such a long time. And,
right.
Getting to go to the hospital and helping someone else and not being the sick person, I think that also... For me, like that was a big thing, and definitely helping people in their time of need. That's the thing about this book, that it's not just a aimed at people with concussions. It's aimed at people that go through all sorts of life experiences.
Of course.
And I feel like there's so many things. That's why I made the book the way I did, where it's about two separate kind of injuries, two separate events, not just a concussion, and not just a memoir, because I find that with a lot of the people that I've spoken to, even though sometimes our experiences are very different, that path to recovery and just overcoming those obstacles, it's very similar. And so, there's that too, that it really allows me to reach out to a lot of people. A lot of people can relate to it, I find.
Oh, I'm sure they could.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to reading it. I've not had the opportunity, though. I did read a lot of the information on the website, which I'll get you to send me all the links.
Yes, of
where
course.
they'd be able to purchase the book, as well as information on your website that they can look and see what it's about as well. It's it's amazing. All of it is very well done. So going forward, so you're in school now, I take it?
Yeah.
I know we were holding off for a little while so you could get some exams done before Christmas comes.
Yeah.
So what is it you're going to school for now?
So right now I'm at U of T for life science at the St. George campus.
Nice.
Yeah. And then hopefully next year I want to do a double major in chemistry and neuroscience. And we'll kind of see where that goes. But
do you have any idea yet at this point what you possibly would like to do with all of this in the long run?
I think I'd like to become like a doctor. And I know I still have a very long road ahead of me.
That's all right. It takes time.
But just the whole experience has really shown me the difference and the value of good doctors versus bad doctors. And I find that the best doctors that can really see like invisible injuries,
I agree,
are the ones that have gone through an experience like that themselves. They're the most compassionate, and they're also the ones that will try their best to help you even when maybe they're not super sure of the answer in the moment. They're going to do everything they can to reassure you, and if they can't find the answer, they'll direct you to someone.
Well, they tend to be more, I find, personal, on the basis that they're not just there to help people, obviously, or to make the dollar. There's a little more heart involved, and they care, which is what I remembered a long time ago about doctors, is that there was a time when most of them were very much that way. Unfortunately, because they're overwhelmed. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why some of the things happen, but they definitely are not always to the degree, like you said, that seem understanding. I think some of them get so overwhelmed with patients that they just keep moving through it. So you're very right. That type of a doctor is definitely needed.
Yeah.
Definitely. I agree 100%. So how have things gone so far? Since you, because you just put this out this year, it was like June of this year, correct?
June, yeah.
Right. So how have things been going since you got it? You've published it, and you're getting some responses now, and it takes time, obviously. Yes. It's not going to happen over a month or two. It's definitely going to take some time, and that's one of the reasons that when we had spoken to you, I thought, this is awesome. I'd love to get this out and help you share the information for many reasons. Not just for you, but as you said, it's one of those things that it's important. And as I said to you, even as a concussion, even I don't always. It can be serious, but I've never really seen anybody have a serious concussion. Mm-hmm. So it really can bring awareness to people that if someone has a concussion, don't shrug it off, because it definitely needs to be tended to. And I know there's a lot out there that understand that, but I'm sure there's a lot that, I know people that have had concussions and they got better, you just have to take your time. And so, because it was interesting when I had read about what happened to you, I thought, wow, I know they can be serious, but that a year of your life, that's a long time.
Yeah. And that's also, I didn't know if I would ever go back to school, so that's why I wanted to write.
That must have been just a horrible thing, feeling that way, especially when you have the goals you do.
Yes, yeah, but it's been doing pretty well so far. Every signing that we've had at Indigo so far, I've sold around 20 copies.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Good for you. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So everybody out there, we have our local author here. Yeah, I have not read it, but I have read on the website what it's about, and a little bit about Paulina. And here we are talking about Paulina and what happened. So this is a young girl, and I mean, maybe there's a lot of young people as much as adults that could really learn from it. Hopefully. As much as enjoy, right? A little bit of both. So we will be putting up when we get this interview out. And we put the information up with the video. I will have Paulina give me all of the links, how to buy it, where to buy it, her website, anything that you want added to that. We'll make sure that that's up with it. And maybe as we go along, maybe we'll have another little get together. I'd like to catch up with you and see how things are going as time goes.
Sounds wonderful.
Yeah, I think that would be a lot of fun, and keep in touch at some point. And there's another book coming. I know there's another one coming. Just a matter of time. It's going to take time. You got too much educational pieces you got to deal with right now. You had the time when you were off. So yeah, I see. There'll be another one. Well, thank you so much, Paulina, for coming. I think this is awesome. Like I said.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's amazing. Like I said, I'm really looking forward to reading it because it's kind of interesting to go through what you went through over the span of a year from a concussion. That really doesn't sound like in the beginning when it first happened. It wasn't something that knocked you out and you went blacked out or anything like that. It was just, I guess, the way it hit is just,
I think so, yeah.
So it just goes to show you that, you may not think you have anything, you may not feel it or see it, but be cognizant of what you're doing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. And we'll wrap that up from here. And I look forward to seeing how things go with you in the future. And we'll go from there.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. And thank you to all of you for paying attention and watching this. And let's help Pauline out and get this information out there to everybody and anybody, because it is important. And as we've been talking about, it's not something a lot of people really know with a concussion when it's really serious.
Yeah. The
consequences that arise with that. So good book to read. So we will wrap that up at there, and we'll see you again soon.